series, the unlisted reading with Chaz. We are reading Daniel Goleman's uh, Focus. And as you guys know, we always have about a 3 minute intro. So if you want to just go ahead and skip ahead, you probably get to the point where you will see me reading. But as of right now, what I'm doing is I'm getting my tea, bedtime tea, ready, closing a couple windows, and I'm getting this station set up. Basically, this is a continuation. We read chapter 5 2 days ago. Yesterday, I started ground school. So, working to get my private pilot's license. And we will also be creating a new channel for that endeavor. So, if you guys know anything about me, then you know that I always have different aliases and different handles for different seasons of my life. Let me just grab this door stopper. Yeah, me, Chaz. Outstanding Performer Award. Let me use this to prop the phone up. That's basically what we're doing with this. Okay, cool. And then let me grab this. Boom. So yeah, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's never really fluff, but this is called the FAQ. You know what I'm saying? The Pilot Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, boy. So yeah, man, I got a lot to learn. But we started ground school. We got another like 8 weeks of that, and that's really exciting. So in the meantime, you'll probably see me sipping my tea throughout this episode, just because I'm trying to do better with my sleep, man. It's a struggle. When I say it's a struggle, we've been struggling with sleeping for going on almost a decade. So you know, yep. But we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it under control. But anyways, yeah. So we have everything that we need. We have our book, handy dandy pen, and then we have our notebook where we'll be writing down terms. Um, Last time in Finding Balance, we only had three. It was like denizens, equanimity, and bonums. But today we're hoping, for some more. I'm always hoping to find more words that I don't know the proper definition to. Contextual, I can contextualize, you know what I mean? But I want to look these up. And I have yet to find time to do that. So probably next week, given my alternating schedule, I'll have some time in the afternoons to do that word of the day. But anyways, be on the lookout for potential captain or aviator, pilot added, title to another YouTube channel that I'll be creating. But anyways, 3 minutes as promised. Let's get into it. Daniel Goleman's Focus, Chapter 6, The Inner Rudder. We don't need that. Football, basketball, debate, you name it. The big rival to my high school in the Central Valley of California was in the next town down, Highway 99. Over the years, I've gotten friendly with a student from the other school. During high school, he wasn't much interested in studies. In fact, he almost flunked out. Growing up on a ranch on the outskirts of town, he spent a lot of time alone, reading science fiction and tinkering with hot rods, his passion. The week before he was to graduate, a car sped past from behind as he was making a left turn into his driveway, smashing his small sports car into bits. He almost died. After recuperating, our friend went to the local community college, where he discovered a calling that riveted his attention and mobilized his creative talents: filmmaking. After transferring to a film school, he made a movie for his student project that caught the eye of a Hollywood director, who hired him as an assistant. The director asked my friend to work on a pet project, a small budget film. That, in turn, led my friend getting a studio to back him as director and producer of another small film based on his script, a movie that the studio almost killed before its release, yet which did surprisingly better than anyone expected. But the arbitrary cuts, edits, and other changes the studio bosses made before releasing that movie were a bitter lesson for my friend who valued creative control of his work as paramount. When he went on to make a movie based on another script of his own, a big Hollywood studio offered him a standard deal whereby the studio financed the project and held the power to change the film before its release. He refused the deal. His artistic integrity was more important. Instead, my friend bought creative control by going off on his own and putting every penny of his profits from his first film into this second project. When he was almost done, his money ran out. He went looking for loans, but bank after bank turned him down. Only a last minute loan from the 10th bank he implored saved the project. This film was Star Wars. George Lucas's insistence on keeping creative control despite the financial struggle that it entailed for him signifies enormous integrity. And as the world knows, it also turned out to be a lucrative business decision. But this decision wasn't motivated by the pursuit of money, but then ancillary rights meant selling movie posters and t shirts, a trivial source of revenue. At the time, everyone who knew the film industry warned George against going out on his own. Such a decision requires immense confidence in one's own guiding values. What allows people to have a strong inner compass, a North Star that steers them through life according to the dictates of their deepest values and purposes? Self awareness, particularly accurate, wait, self awareness, particularly accuracy in decoding the internal cues of our body's murmurs, holds the key. Our subtle physiological reactions reflect the sum total of our experience relevant to the decision at hand. The decision rules derived from our life experiences reside in subcortical neural networks that gather, store, and apply algorithms from every event in our lives, creating an inner rudder. Today's chapter. The brain harbors our deepest sense of purpose and meaning in these subcortical regions, areas connected poorly to the verbal areas of the neocortex, but richly to the gut. We know our values by first getting a visceral sense of what feels right and what does not, then articulating those feelings ourselves. Self awareness, then, represents an essential focus, one that attunes us to the subtle murmurs within that can help guide our way through life. And as we shall see, the inner radar holds the key to managing what we do, and just as important, what we don't do. This internal control mechanism makes all the difference between a life well lived and one that falters. She's happy and she knows it. The scientific test for self awareness in animals, in theory, simple. Put a mark on their face, show them a mirror, and observe whether their actions indicate they realize that the face with the mark over their over there reflects their own. Let me read that again. Put a mark on their face, show them a mirror, and observe whether their actions indicate they realize that the face with the mark over there reflects their own. Okay. I'm reading it the way it's written, so. Actually, Doing such a test of self awareness in elephants is not so simple. For starters, you need to build an elephant proof mirror. Try an 8 by 8 foot acrylic reflecting surface glued to plywood, supported by steel framing, and bolted to the concrete wall of an elephant enclosure. That's what researchers did at the Bronx Zoo, where Happy, a 34-year-old Asian elephant, lives with her two hulking friends, Maxine and Patty. The researchers let the elephants get used to the mirrors for a few days. Then they put large white X's on the head of one another, on the head of one or another of the elephants to see if she would realize she had a mark there, an indication of self recognition. There's a further complication when it comes to testing elephants. They groom themselves by taking mud baths and spraying dust all over themselves with their trunks. That adds a fair amount of debris to their skin, upping the odds that we humans think as a prominent mark might be trivial, just more of the usual detritus to an elephant. And indeed, Maxine and Patty paid no attention to their ex. Yeah, so today we're gonna write down detritus. Detritus. Sounds similar to detrimental, but we're gonna keep it. There was another word that I wanted to write down earlier, but I did not. I don't want to take too much time trying to find it. Okay, anyways, yeah. But the day Happy got the big white X on her head, she went over to the mirror and spent 10 seconds looking at herself, then walked off. Rather like humans when we glance in the mirror before going out to start our day. She then repeatedly felt over the X with the sensitive tip of her trunk, signifying self awareness. Only a highly select few in the animal kingdom have passed this test, including some varieties of apes and chimps and dolphins in an aquatic adaptation of the test. These species, like elephants, are among the handful of animals whose brains harbor a class of neurons some neuroscientists believe are uniquely essential for self awareness. Named for their discoverer, Konstantin von Economo, and called VINs for short, these spindle shaped neurons can be double the size of most brain cells and have fewer branches, though much larger ones, connecting to other cells. Their size and spindle like shape give VINs a unique advantage over other neurons. The signals they send travel faster and farther, and their main locations in areas that connect the executive brain to the emotional centers position them as personal radar. These areas light up when we see our reflection in the mirror. Neuroscientists see them as part of the brain circuitry for our sense of self at every level of this is me or of how I feel now and our personal identity. The brain's map of the body. After being diagnosed with the liver cancer that was to take his life a few years later, Steve Jobs gave a heartfelt talk to a graduating class at Stanford University. Rest in peace. His advice: don't let the voice of others opinions drown out your inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. But how do you hear your inner voice? What your heart and intuition somehow already know. You need to depend on your body's signals. You may have seen the rather bizarre image of a body as mapped by the somatosensory cortex, which tracks the sensations registered by various areas of our skin. This critter has a tiny head, but huge lips and tongue, teeny arms, but giant fingers, all reflecting the relative sensitivity of nerves in various body parts. Similar monitoring of our internal organs is done by the insula, tucked behind the frontal lobes of the brain. The insula maps our body's insides via circuitry linking to our gut, heart, liver, lungs, genitals. Every organ has its specific spot. This lets the insula act as a control center for organ functions, sending signals to the heart to slow its beat, the lungs to take a deeper breath. Attention turned inward toward any part of the body amps up the insula's sensitivity to the particular area we're checking on. Tune in to your heartbeat, and the insula activates more neurons in that circuitry. How well people can sense their heartbeat, in fact, has become a standard way to measure their self awareness. The better people are at this, the bigger their insula. It's kind of cool. I'm going to write down insula. Also, um, somatosensory. We were learning about that in ground school. It's basically like when you're, let's say, pulling positive G's, and let's say you roll on the, I think that's the lateral. No, you roll on the longitudinal axis. So it's this way. So you feel whatever is going on perpendicularly of that axis. So like on the vertical, you would feel the yaw as it spins, and then on the lateral, you would feel the pitch. So on the longitudinal, you would feel the roll and bank. And so when you're turning the yoke, you feel a somatosensory is the word. Somatosensory, sorry. And so that's whenever you can feel it in like your joints, your skin. It's like a physical sense. Anyways, I just wanted to. It's funny because like the more you know, the more things overlap and intertwine in terms of different disciplines that you're learning. And it's just really odd that first day of ground school, we already have a parallel um, between what we're reading with a completely separate related book. Anyways, um, okay, the bigger their insula. That's pretty cool. The insula attunes us to more than our organs. Our very sense of how we are feeding, I'm sorry, the insula attunes us to more than our organs. Our very sense of how we are feeling depends on it. People who are oblivious to their own emotions and also tellingly, as we'll see, to how other people feel have sluggish insular activity compared to the high activation found in people highly attuned to their inner emotional life. Mm. At the tuned out extreme are those with Alexi. Oh my goodness, bro. Okay. Yeah, that pen is done. I had enough trying to write down stuff with that pen. Just you get one chance, bro. Um, Alec, Alex, Alexithymia, Alexithymia, bro. Somatosensory, but we got a lot of. I'm gonna write down insula too. I already did, but it was faint because of that garbage pen. Okay, so at the tuned out extreme are those with alexithymia, 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 alexithymia. At the uh, at the tuned out extreme are those with alexithymia who just don't know what they feel and can't imagine what someone else might be feeling. Oof, what a condition. Our gut feelings are measured from the insula and other bottom up circuits that simplify life decisions for us by guiding our attention toward smarter decisions. I'm going to read that again. Our gut feelings are messages from the insula and other bottom up circuits that simplify life decisions for us by guiding our attention towards smarter decisions. Mm, intuitive. The better we are at reading these messages, the better our intuition. Take that tag, take that tug you might sometimes feel when you suspect you're forgetting something important just as you're leaving on a big trip. A marathon runner tells me of a time she was on her way to a race 400 miles away. She felt that tug and ignored it. But as she continued on down the freeway, it kept coming back. Then she realized what was tugging on her. She had forgotten her shoes. A stop at a mall that was just about to close saved the day. But her new shoes were a different brand from the ones she normally wore. As she told me, I have never been more sore. Somatic marker is neuroscientist Antonio Damasio's term for the sensations in our body that tells us when a choice feels wrong or right. Somatic marker. This bottom up circuitry telegraphs its conclusions through our gut feelings, often long before the top down circuits come to a more reasoned conclusion. The ventromedial prefrontal area, okay, come on now. We were getting ready to close this chapter out and they want to hit us with some craziness. Um, I don't even know what part of the brain that is, bro. We've been learning though. Bottom up, top down, prefrontal cortex, basal ganglia. Um, what is the? There's one that's like closer to the spine. I guess that's no. The basal ganglia is, I believe, the one that's like closer to the spinal cord. But there's more. There's more. Where's the amygdala? I believe that's like more central. Yeah. Anyways, on one of these days, I'm gonna put this in my notes. I'm just gonna do like brain anatomy or something like that. I need to actually figure out which sections are the bottom up and top down. But anyways, it's pretty cool. Where was I? Somatic markers. Okay. This bottom up circuitry telegraphs its conclusions through our gut feelings, often long before the top down circuits come to a more reasoned conclusion. The ventromedial prefrontal area, a key part of this circuitry, when guides our decision making when we face life's most complex decisions, like who to marry or whether to buy a house. Such choices can't be made by cold, rational analysis. Instead, we do better to simulate what it would feel like to choose A versus B. This brain area operates as that inner rudder. I actually can really relate to this. I'm actually going to put an asterisk by this because I've made a lot of decisions in life. um, Preemptively based off of the feeling that I expected. And I'm not gonna disclose exactly some of these major decisions, but the feeling experienced was far greater than my initial intuition. And so, with that being said, don't regret a lot of those decisions, and it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of. Some of them are small, like travel decisions or um, purchases and things of that nature. But there's some other major decisions that I've made in my own life, and it's like, yeah, I wouldn't go back and change that. Anyways, the brain. Okay, so this brain area operates as the inner rudder. There are two major streams of self awareness: me, which builds narratives about our past and future, and I, which brings us into the immediate present. The me, as we've seen, links together what we experience across time. The I, in stark contrast, exists only in the raw experience of our immediate moment. The I, our most intimate sense of self, reflects the piecemeal sum. Never even heard that phrase. Piecemeal. One word. Piecemeal, I'll put parentheses sum. I don't know what that means, bro. The I, our most intimate sense of ourself, reflects the piecemeal sum of our sensory impressions, particularly our body states. I builds from our brain system for mapping the body via the insula. And you have to remember this is the most present, the most intimate sense of ourself. Such internal signals are our inner guides, helping us at many levels, from living a life in keeping within our guiding values to remembering our running shoes. As a veteran performer at Cirque du Soleil, as a veteran performer at Cirque du Soleil told me, for their grueling routines, Cirque performers strive for what she called perfect practice, where the laws of physical motion and rules of biomechanics come together with timing, angles, and speed, so you get more perfect more of the time. You'll never perfect all of the time. Mm, yeah, practice the way you want to play. Um, I believe it's if you sweat more in training, you'll bleed less in war. How do the performers know when they're nearing perfection? It's the feeling, you know? You know it in your joints before you know it in your head. Being a rudder. Cool. That was a nice little, let me get a little round of applause. Nice little 30 piece. Nice. I could probably, I'll probably stop this one. I think I could actually knock this other one out tonight. We in the zone, boy. We in the zone. Anyways, yeah, this is a 30 piece. 30-minute is basically what I'm alluding to. But I got my midnight elixir. You know what I mean? I got my bedtime tea. But I think I could probably push out one more chapter tonight. Since I missed yesterday, I think it's just fitting. What I'll do is I'll probably like take this take this shirt off. I just have a muscle tee underneath. And then I'll just read and go from there. But anyways, yeah, this one was cool. The inner rudder, inner rudder. So uh, the insula. The larger the insula, the more in tune you are with yourself, and the more in tune you are with yourself, as examples of sensing your own heartbeat or being able to calm yourself in certain moments, l- tends to lend to your ability to be able to cope with others or empathize better with others. Cool, cool. That's what I got out of it. Yeah. So I always do like a little recap at the end, impromptu. So you know what I'm saying? The quality may not be, if this was written out and revised and flushed out, then yeah, it'd probably be a little bit higher. But at the same time, even this revision is not bad. You know what I'm saying? It ain't bad. I feel like Cristiano Ronaldo when he was talking about he got 3 goals. Like I ain't doing badly. You know what I'm saying? Man, I feel bad for him, man. Cristiano Ronaldo is such a great player, but to be compared to Messi, I don't even want to talk about it, but it's just like, come on, man. He's great over here. And he's great over here. You ain't gotta just toxic fans on both ends, from what I see. But I think Messi's amazing. Not to mention his wife is Argentinian, so I mean, it's like he's got love. Got love for Argentina. Anyways, detritus, insula, uh, somatosensory, somatic markers, um, alexithema, alexithymia. We'll figure it out. Ventromedial prefrontal area, piecemeal sum, piecemeal. I wasn't sure what that meant. And then, yeah, I need to look up the brain anatomy. So I'm gonna try to finish this one out. This was a good read, not too bad. And I think we have one more: seeing ourselves as others see us. Mm, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Live long enough as the hero to see yourself become the villain. That's what I think that one's gonna allude to. Just kind of accepting the perception, the reality that we exist in is nothing more than the perception that others have of us. Yep, yep, yep. Good stuff. Okay, I don't want to waste any more time. This is a nice little 30 piece. If you enjoyed this, drop your favorite timestamp. That means go back. It's only double digits, so like I don't know, 08 colon 05, 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Whatever your favorite timestamp was, please let me know. If you enjoyed this series, there should be a playlist if I did this correctly, or if I made time and cared enough to compile all these into a playlist, and also at the end of each video, um, put how they all tie together. I don't know. We'll see. I'm doing these offline, so we'll see if that happens. If not, I'll just drop a batch of like 30 videos and you guys can just go through and find them. But yeah, I hope you guys like this. Nightly reads, expanding our, I wouldn't say palette, but expanding our knowledge base um, on neuroscience related topics. That's what I would say. Anyways, I appreciate you guys. I'm go ahead and close this one, shut this one down, and I'm gonna probably read one more chapter tonight, just since I got the time and I'm kind of in flow state. So, appreciate y'all. I'm not gonna yap too much. The last one I did yap for a good hot minute. I'm not gonna do that. All right, but peace.